Alara stared at it, the weight of it crushing her chest. Her mother had dreamed of peace and died for it.
Kael stepped closer until his voice was almost a whisper. Do you understand now, princess? This marriage, ours, it's not a punishment. It's what she wanted.
Alara met his gaze, eyes burning. You think forcing me into a cage fulfills her dream? Kael's hand brushed the dagger, lowering it gently. It fulfills her oath. Something shifted between them, tension melting into a dangerous current. Their breaths mingled in the cold air. Alara didn't move away. Why tell me this now? She whispered.
Because if you keep digging into the past without knowing who to trust, Kael said, you'll end up like her. He turned to leave, but paused at the door. And if you ever show that dagger to anyone, especially my mother, I won't be able to protect you. Then he was gone.
Alara sank to the ground, the dagger gleaming in her lap. Her thoughts swirled betrayal, politics, love, death. But through the chaos, one truth cut sharper than steel. Her mother's death was no accident. Someone wanted her silenced. And the same shadow still moved within these walls. That night, the Iron Keep held a feast, a mockery of peace. The nobles drank and laughed, musicians played, and Kael sat beside Alara, expression unreadable. Queen Ileana smiled thinly at her from across the hall, eyes like sharpened glass. Does it please you, princess? She asked sweetly. To see your people's gold buying our wine? Alara smiled back, voice sugar and venom. Only as much as it pleases me to see your son drinking to his enemies. A dangerous hush fell.
But Kael's low chuckle broke it. My queen, it seems you've met your match. The court laughed, some nervously, others with genuine amusement.
Alara caught the faintest ghost of a smirk tugging at Kael's lips, but behind the laughter she felt the eyes, spies, lords, servants, all watching, all listening. When the feast ended, she slipped out through a servant's corridor, her cloak drawn tight. The music faded behind her. In the dark passage, a whisper cut through the air. Is greater than, the stars bleed for her again. Alara froze. A figure emerged from the shadows, the hooded stranger from the night before. You shouldn't be here, she hissed. They'll kill you.
The stranger tilted his head. Not before I tell you what your mother died for. Ilara's heart raced. Who are you?
He stepped closer, revealing half his face, a jagged scar running down his cheek, and an emblem burned into his throat. Her breath caught.
It was the mark of the Valinor Royal Guard. Is greater than. I was her oath keeper, he said, and I swore to protect her bloodline from Draven's crown. He pressed something into her hand, a folded scrap of parchment, sealed with a symbol she'd never seen before. A star split by a blade. Is greater than. They will come for you now, he whispered. The same ones who came for her.
Before she could speak, footsteps echoed down the corridor. The stranger vanished into the shadows, leaving only the cold weight of his warning behind. Alara unfolded the parchment. It was a map of Draven's castle, and marked in red ink was a place beneath the keep, circled and labeled in her mother's handwriting. Is greater than the Vault of Oaths. The snow had stopped, but the cold that settled over the Iron Keep that night felt different, thicker, charged. As though the stones themselves knew what Alara carried in her hand. The parchment trembled between her fingers as she held it close to the candlelight. The Vault of Oaths. The name alone was enough to curdle her blood. She had no idea what she would find there, but every instinct screamed that her mother's ghost had been waiting for her to come. She moved through the keep like a shadow. The guards outside her chamber didn't see her slip away, nor did the servants in the corridors notice the flicker of her passing. The map led her deep beneath the lower kitchens through a passage hidden behind a stack of unused wine casks. She dragged one aside, heart hammering, and revealed a narrow arch of black stone. Cold air wafted from the darkness beyond. This is madness, she thought, but so was peace. Torch in hand, she descended. The passage spiraled downward for what felt like forever, the air growing damp, the walls glistening with moisture. Faint carvings marked the stone ancient words, half erased by time. She recognized the language of Valinor among them, her mother's people, here, in the heart of her enemy's castle. At last, the passage opened into a circular chamber. The floor was inlaid with silver lines forming a pattern she couldn't immediately decipher. At the center stood a stone pedestal, and upon it a sealed iron box. Alara approached cautiously. The air shimmered faintly above the box, as though touched by heat, though the room was frigid. Her reflection wavered on the metal surface, and for a heartbeat, she swore she saw not her own face, but her mother's. She reached out, and the world shifted. A whisper filled the chamber. Not sound, but memory, is greater than. If you are hearing this, my daughter, then I have failed. Ilara froze. The voice was unmistakable, soft, strong, laced with sorrow. Her mother is greater than. Draven's court bleeds lies. The peace I built was never meant to last. There are those who fear the bond between our houses, who believe unity will destroy their power. They will kill to keep the kingdoms divided. Ilara's eyes stung. The torch flickered, and for an instant she thought she saw her mother's shadow beside her, tall, regal, cloaked in silver light. Is greater than. You will be told I betrayed Valinor, that I chose their crown. Do not believe it. I chose the world you were meant to inherit, one where love ends war, but love cannot live where fear rules. The voice trembled, breaking. Is greater than. Find the Oathkeeper. Trust no crown. And if Kael Draven still breathes, tell him I am sorry. The light dimmed, and silence rushed back into the chamber. Ilara stood motionless, tears glimmering on her cheeks. Her mother's last words burned through her. Trust no crown. She lifted the iron box from the pedestal. It was heavy, bound with a lock shaped like twin crests entwined, Valinor's lion and Draven's wolf, bound by blood, broken by betrayal.
Ilara. She nearly screamed. The voice came from the tunnel behind her. Kael stood there, torch in hand, face carved with shadow. I told you not to come here. How did you find me? She demanded. Because I knew you'd never listen. He stepped closer, eyes flicking to the box in her hands. Put it down. No. Her voice was sharp, trembling. This belonged to my mother. I know what it is, he said quietly. And if you open it, you'll condemn us both. Ilara's pulse roared in her ears. You knew about this place. I did. His voice dropped. Because she built it with me. The words sliced through her. You lie. She came here years before the war. We planned the vault together, a place to hide what couldn't survive politics. Letters, treaties, proof of her alliance. Then why did she die? Kael's face darkened. Because someone found out. Someone from this keep. Your mother, Ilara whispered. Kael's silence was confirmation enough.
She backed away toward the pedestal, the box clutched tight. If what you say is true, then this, she lifted the box, is proof she was murdered. Kael's eyes hardened. It's proof that Draven's throne was built on a lie. They stared at each other, prince and princess, enemy and ally, both chained to ghosts.
What will you do with it? He asked softly. Ilara's throat tightened. What she couldn't. End the war. Then be ready to bleed for it, Kael said. Because my mother won't let you walk out of this vault alive. The words barely left his mouth before the floor trembled. A deep, grinding sound filled the air. From the upper tunnels came shouts, guards' voices, boots pounding stone. Kael cursed under his breath. She knew. Ilara, give me the box. No, she cried. You think I'll hand you the only truth left of my bloodline? I'm trying to save you. The ceiling cracked. Dust fell like snow. Kael lunged forward, grabbing her arm as a chunk of stone crashed between them. She struggled, eyes wild. Let me go! His grip tightened. Not if it means watching you die. The light from his torch flickered violently, and then the world collapsed.
When the dust settled, silence filled the chamber. Alara's vision blurred. The box was gone, buried under rubble. Kale was beside her, bleeding from a cut across his brow. He pulled himself up and hauled her to her feet.
"Move," he rasped. Before they seal the passage, they stumbled through the broken corridor, coughing, covered in dust. Behind them, shouts grew louder, Queen Ileana's guards, searching. At last, they reached a narrow fissure that opened into a forgotten stairwell. Kale pushed her through first. "Go, I'll hold them." Elara turned, eyes blazing. "You can't." "I can." His hand brushed her cheek, rough and fleeting. "You want to finish her work? Then live." Before she could speak, he shoved her upward, turning back to face the approaching guards. Elara climbed, the echo of steel clashing below burning in her ears.
When she emerged into the cold night air, the castle was in chaos, alarms ringing, flames flickering in the distance. She looked back toward the keep, heart splintering. For the first time, she didn't know whether Kale Draven was her enemy or her only ally left alive. The night air bit at Alara's skin as she ran through the snow-laden paths surrounding the Iron Keep. Her breath came in sharp bursts, clouds of white curling into the darkness. The dagger, her mother's dagger, forged of Valinor steel and Draven silver, was clenched in her fist. It was more than a weapon, it was a promise to uncover the truth and avenge the bloodline that had been betrayed. Footsteps echoed behind her, the Queen Mother's soldiers. They moved like predators, silent and relentless. She knew I'd come for the vault, Elara thought, and she set the trap. Elara ducked behind a cluster of frost-covered trees, peering toward the gates of the keep. Torches flickered, illuminating soldiers sweeping the courtyard. Every path was covered, every exit watched. She gritted her teeth. Running would only lead them to Kale, or worse, into Ileana's hands. Then a memory struck her. The hidden passages Kale had shown her. The spiraling stairway beneath the keep. If she could reach the servants' tunnels, she might slip beyond the walls entirely. A shadow detached itself from the darkness ahead. A man cloaked in black, moving like wind. Elara, her heart skipped.
The hooded stranger, the Oathkeeper. "I can help you," he whispered, pressing a small bundle into her hands. "Maps, keys, secrets of this. Keep everything your mother left behind, but you must trust no one else." Elara's fingers closed around the package. "And Kale, he will distract them," the Oathkeeper said. "But even he cannot save you if the Queen Mother sets her mind to it." Before she could respond, torches flared across the courtyard. Soldiers shouted.
Ileana's voice, sharp as a blade, rang out. "Is greater than, the princess has the dagger. Bring her to me alive." Elara bolted toward the hidden tunnel, the snow crunching underfoot.
Behind her, the Oathkeeper dissolved into shadows, leaving only the wind to whisper his warning. Trust, no crown.
Inside the tunnel, the air was stale but safe. Candles flickered along the walls, revealing old markings, the work of her mother's hand. She followed them, heart pounding, every muscle coiled like a spring. At the tunnel's end, she emerged into a forgotten courtyard overgrown with frostbitten ivy and silent statues. The city below slept, unaware of the storm erupting above. She allowed herself a breath, but it was short-lived. A soft hiss reached her ears. She spun and froze. Queen Ileana stepped from the shadows, regal and deadly, a black cloak flowing behind her. Her eyes burned like molten steel. "Elara," she said softly, almost affectionate. "So brave, so foolish." The dagger felt heavier in her hand. "You lied about my mother. You killed her." Ileana's smile was thin, almost cruel. "No, child. She died because she overestimated the strength of peace. You, however, might survive if you play your cards carefully." Elara advanced, teeth clenched. "You will pay for her blood." "Perhaps," Ileana said, circling her like a hawk. "But first you will kneel." Elara's grip tightened. "Never." Ileana raised a hand. Suddenly, soldiers poured from the darkness, forming a circle around her. Escape seemed impossible. Then, a roar cut through the night. Steel met steel.
Kyle emerged from the shadows, blade flashing in the torchlight. He moved with lethal precision, scattering the Queen Mother's men. His eyes met Alara's for a heartbeat. "Go!" he shouted.
Elara didn't hesitate. She darted past him, the dagger clenched tightly. But Ilyana's voice followed her, echoing off the walls. "Is greater than, you cannot escape your destiny, princess. Blood binds us all." Elara slid into another hidden passage, heart racing.
Behind her, Kale fought like a storm. Each strike measured, precise, yet she knew he would not leave the Queen Mother alive if given the chance.
Alone in the darkness, Elara allowed herself a moment to breathe. The dagger glinted in the faint candlelight. She unwrapped the package from the Oathkeeper maps, keys, and a set of letters, brittle with age. One letter bore her mother's handwriting, trembling but deliberate. "Is greater than Elara. Trust no one fully. Not even the wolf who saved me. There are shadows in every crown." Her pulse quickened. The Queen Mother's trap had almost worked. But now, armed with the truth, Elara realized something vital. The war had never ended. It had only changed shape, and she was the key. Somewhere deep in the castle, Kyle was fighting his own battle, one that would determine whether they both survived the night. Elara clenched the dagger. The wind howled around her as she whispered to herself, "Is greater than I will uncover every secret. I will find the truth, and I will make them pay." The storm of the Iron Keep had begun. The dawn broke gray and brittle over the Iron Keep. Smoke rose from the western towers where the skirmish had ended hours before. The once quiet fortress now buzzed with tension, soldiers running, banners being lowered, and whispers chasing every corridor like shadows. Elara had not slept. She stood on the balcony of an abandoned watchtower, her cloak drawn tightly against the cold. Below her, the kingdom she was meant to marry into stretched vast and unforgiving. She had spent the night poring over her mother's letters. Each word was a warning written in blood. "Is greater than, the Oathkeeper knows what must be done. He holds the key to the vault and to the throne." That phrase haunted her. The vault she had seen was only one chamber. There had to be another, hidden deeper, where the final truth slept. But to reach it, she would have to trust the man whose loyalty could kill her, the Oathkeeper. By midday, Elara slipped into the lower streets of Draven, cloaked as a servant. The air smelled of coal and iron. The people's faces were thin, wary, watchful. She found him near the ruins of the old chapel, kneeling before a stone altar cracked by time. The hooded man rose when he saw her.
"You shouldn't be here," he said quietly. "And yet, here I am," she replied. "You promised me the truth." The Oathkeeper studied her. His face was older than she remembered, the scar across his cheek deeper in the daylight. "You have your mother's fire," he said. "But fire alone can't survive this place." He motioned for her to follow. They slipped into the chapel's catacombs, a labyrinth of tunnels beneath the city. Torches flickered against walls carved with runes of both kingdoms. She believed the war could end, Elara said softly. "But everyone betrayed her." "Not everyone," he murmured. "I kept my oath. Even after her death, I protected what she left behind." He stopped before a door bound in chains, its lock shaped like twin crests. Elara's heart quickened. "The second vault," she whispered. The Oathkeeper nodded. "Only blood of both lines can open it. That's why she made you her heir, and why she trusted Kale." "Kale?" Elara frowned. "He knew about this?" "He was meant to stand beside you, not against you. She believed the two of you could unite what she couldn't." Elara's breath caught. "Then why?" "Because love terrifies rulers," the Oathkeeper said bitterly. "And the Queen Mother would burn a kingdom before she shared its power." He pressed a dagger into Elara's palm, smaller, older, the same twin crest design as her mother's blade. "You'll need this. Your blood will open the lock."
Alara hesitated, then drew the edge across her palm. The blood sizzled against the metal, the lock turning with a deep click. The door swung open, and the torchlight revealed a small chamber lined with scrolls, chests, and relics. At the center lay a single sealed document, bound with crimson wax. Alara reached for it, but the Oathkeeper stopped her. "Once you read it," he warned, "there's no going back." "I stopped going back the day she died," Alara said. She broke the seal. The parchment unfurled with a whisper. "It wasn't a treaty. It was a confession. Is greater than I, Seraphine of Valinor, wife to Kael's father by oath and to peace by heart, bear witness. The war between our kingdoms began not from pride, but from blood. Ileana Draven murdered my child to ensure no heir of both lines would ever rule." Ilara's knees gave out. "My child?" The Oathkeeper's face was grave. "Your brother, the firstborn, killed before his first breath." Tears blurred her vision. "She killed my mother's child and blamed Valinor for it." "And turned Kael into a weapon of vengeance," he said. Alara's chest burned. The world tilted. Every lie, every alliance, every drop of blood, it all led back to one woman, Queen Ileana Draven.
Alara. The voice came from behind her. Kael stood at the threshold, pale from exhaustion, eyes storm, dark. He had found her again. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, voice low.
"Because I might discover what your mother did?" she hissed, shoving the parchment at him. "She murdered my brother, your brother, and burned our kingdoms to hide it?"
Kael took the parchment, his hand shaking as he read. His face went white. "No."
"She used you," Alara said. "She made you believe it was my people who destroyed your family." Kael's voice broke. "I was a child."
"She told me she saw Valinor soldiers slit my father's throat. I lived for vengeance. She made sure you would," Alara whispered. For a long time, they stood in silence, the weight of generations pressing between them. Finally, Kael looked up, eyes burning with something fierce and raw. "If this is true, then every drop of blood spilled since was on her hands, and mine, for believing her." He stepped closer. "Tell me what you want me to do, Alara." She met his gaze, voice trembling. "Help me destroy her." Kael exhaled slowly. "Then we'll need more than truth. We'll need an army that believes it." The Oathkeeper stepped forward. "You'll have one. Valinor's remnants still wait in the shadows, but they'll only rise if they see both heirs stand together."
Alara looked at Kael, the enemy prince who had once held her in chains, and saw not a conqueror, but the broken son of the same tragedy.
"From my mother," she whispered. "From my father," he answered. And for the first time in decades, the wolf and the lion stood side by side. That night, beneath the silent chapel, an alliance was reborn. But above, in the Iron Keep, Queen Ileana watched from her tower window, her reflection fractured in the dark glass.
"So it begins again," she murmured, a cruel smile touching her lips. "Just as it did with Seraphine." Then she turned to the messenger kneeling before her. "Tell the shadows to prepare. My son and the princess think they can defy me. Let them." Her eyes glinted like frost. "Is greater than, by dawn, they'll both be ashes."
The first light of dawn broke over the jagged peaks surrounding Draven, painting the snow in cold gold.
Yet the beauty of the morning did nothing to ease the tension in Alara's chest. Her mother's letters, the Oathkeeper's warnings, and Kael's revelation gnawed at her. The war had never truly ended. It had only been waiting for her.
Kael stood beside her on the balcony of the hidden chapel, a hood drawn low over his face. The parchment from the vault still burned in their minds. "We have to act quickly," Kael said. "Ileana won't wait for us to gather an army. She's already planning her first strike."
Alara clenched her mother's dagger in her fist. "Then we strike first."
Their first move was to reach out to the remnants of Valinor's loyalists. The Oathkeeper led them through secret paths, down to the old city beneath the mountains where Valinor exiles had been hiding for years. The streets were silent, abandoned to frost and shadow, until the exiles appeared, faces lined with hardship, eyes sharp with suspicion. "You brought the lion?" one of the men asked, voice cautious. Alara stepped forward, holding the dagger aloft. "I bring her bloodline, and the truth of her death. The war was never Valinor's fault, it was hers." A murmur ran through the crowd. Kale stepped beside her, showing his hands empty yet unwavering. "And I bring the wolf. I've been her pawn, but no more. The Queen Mother seeks to kill every heir of both houses. We will stop her." The exiles hesitated, then bowed one by one. They had waited decades for a chance to reclaim what was stolen. Meanwhile, Ileana Draven was not idle. From the highest tower of the keep, she watched the snow-capped valley below. Her black cloak trailed behind her like a shadow, and her eyes gleamed with calculated fury. "They think they can unite?" she whispered. "The wolf and the lion standing together?" She summoned her generals, all masters of subterfuge and cruelty. "If they survive the night," she said, "it will be by my design. Set the traps, poison the wells, let them fight ghosts before they reach me, and above all, make them doubt each other. Fear is the most loyal soldier." Back with the allies, Alara and Kale trained their forces in secrecy. Every night, the two heirs strategized, moving with quiet urgency. Despite the shared goal, a tension lingered between them, trust forged by necessity, yet fragile as glass. One evening, as they studied maps in the candlelight, Kyle looked up from the parchment. "You hesitate," he said.
"I hesitate because this isn't just war," Elara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Every move we make could kill thousands, including people we swore to protect."
Kyle's gaze softened. "Then we do what your mother taught us. Fight for the truth, not for vengeance alone."
For a heartbeat, the weight of the past lifted slightly. Alara's eyes met his, and something unspoken passed between them: shared grief, shared responsibility, and perhaps a fragile spark of something more.
The night before their first strike against Ileana's forces, the Oathkeeper returned with news from within the keep. "They know of our alliance," he warned. "The Queen Mother has spies in every shadow. Tomorrow, they will try to trap you."
Alara's fingers tightened around the dagger. "Then we go prepared. Every shadow, every whisper, they will not find us unready."
Kale moved closer, his breath warm in the cold night. "Together," he said simply. Alara nodded, heart pounding not just from fear, but from the strange, dangerous trust she felt in him. "Together," she echoed. The dawn rose again, this time over a battlefield already alive with tension. The wolves of Draven and the lions of Valinor, once enemies, now stood side by side under Alara and Kale's command. Snow swirled around them as they advanced toward the gates of the Iron Keep. Above them, Queen Ileana watched, a cruel smile twisting her lips. She raised her hands, and the first wave of traps began to fall, the snow-hiding spikes, fire-igniting barricades, and poisoned arrows streaking through the morning light.
Alara gritted her teeth. "Stay close," she shouted to Kale.
He nodded, hand brushing hers for a fleeting moment, brief, electric, a reminder that the line between enemy and ally was gone. "Is greater than the first blood of war will fall today," Alara thought, "and I will not let it be hers again." The Iron Keep loomed before them like a mountain of steel and stone, its spires piercing the sky and shrouded in frost. Snow fell relentlessly, covering the ground in a thick, blinding white. But the weather mattered. Little Alara and Kale's forces were ready, and they moved like shadows across the frozen valley. Ilara tightened the straps on her armor, the weight of her mother's dagger at her hip. Beside her, Kale adjusted his own blade, his jaw tight with resolve. "This is it," she whispered. Kale nodded. "Once we step inside, every lie, every betrayal, every secret comes to light. There's no turning back. They exchanged a glance, one heavy with history, grief, and a dangerous spark of trust. Then, as one, they led the charge. The first wave of Ileana's traps hit almost immediately. Hidden pits yawned beneath horses, spiked barricades erupted from the snow, and arrows streaked through the air. Ilara ducked, rolling to avoid a volley, and slashed at a soldier trying to flank her. Beside her, Kale's blades sang through the air, precise and deadly. The exiles of Valinor and the hidden soldiers of Draven fought in eerie harmony, their combined strength unstoppable, but the Queen Mother had prepared well. Smoke and fire filled the outer courtyard. Soldiers cried out, and the snow turned red with blood. "Ilara!" Kale shouted. "Through the eastern gate! The tunnels!" She nodded, following him into the hidden passage beneath the keep. The air grew colder, the walls closer, the darkness pressing around them. The tunnels were narrow, treacherous, but they had no choice above. The traps and soldiers threatened to tear their forces apart. Deep in the tunnels, they paused to catch their breath.
Alara's heart pounded in her chest. "She knew we'd come this way," she said. "She set this entire siege to kill us before we even reached her."
Kael's hand brushed hers a fleeting touch, but enough to make her pulse quicken. "Then, we finish it quickly. For both our mothers. For the truth."
Alara nodded, gripping her dagger tighter. The dagger's twin crests caught the flicker of torchlight, reminding her of the blood and secrets that bound their families together.
As they emerged into the inner chambers, the air shifted, charged with malice.
Queen Ileana herself awaited them at the throne room's entrance, her black cloak flowing, eyes gleaming like steel. "So," she said, her voice cold as ice, "the heirs arrive at last, come to claim what was never yours."
Kael stepped forward, placing himself slightly ahead of Alara. "We've come for the truth and for the throne your cruelty poisoned." Ileana smiled, raising her hands.
Shadows peeled from the walls, twisting and coiling like living serpents. "Then you will die in the darkness of lies you cling to so desperately."
The battle erupted. Shadows twisted around Alara, biting at her and her allies, while Kael's sword clashed with soldiers sent to flank them. Sparks flew, steel met steel, and the air was thick with the scent of blood and fire.
Alara fought like a storm, every movement precise, fueled by grief, rage, and the desire to end the Queen Mother's reign.
She slashed through soldiers, ducked under falling beams, and advanced toward Ileana herself. Kael joined her at her side, moving as if they had always fought together. His hand brushed hers again, just enough to remind them both of the fragile trust between them, a trust born of shared grief and vengeance.
Ileana laughed, a sound that sent chills down Alara's spine. "You think you can defeat me? You are children playing at war. You underestimated our mothers," Alara said, her voice sharp as steel. "And you underestimated us."
Together, Ilara and Kael advanced, the twin crest dagger catching the light as it slashed through the Queen Mother's defenses. The shadows writhed, and Ileana's fury grew, but so did the strength of the heirs, bonded by blood, betrayal, and a spark that neither could deny. The battle had only begun, but one thing was clear. The Queen Mother's reign of shadows and lies was coming to an end. And in the heart of the Iron Keep, beneath the weight of snow, steel, and secrets, the lion and the wolf would rise together or die trying. The throne room of the Iron Keep was a cathedral of shadows and ice. Towers of black stone rose above them, carved with the sigils of Draven, each one a reminder of the centuries of control and cruelty the Queen Mother wielded. Smoke from the burning outer walls curled through shattered windows, twisting like smoke from a funeral pyre.
Alara's breath came in harsh bursts, her cloak torn and streaked with blood. The dagger in her hand gleamed cold in the torchlight. Twin crests intertwined Valinor and Draven, symbols of the bond her mother had tried to forge and Ileana had tried to destroy.
Kael's presence beside her was steady, a rock in the storm. Every swing of his blade, every step forward, told the story of someone who had been molded by lies and revenge but who had chosen her side.
Ahead, Ilyana waited on the dais, black robes flowing like spilled ink, eyes glinting with fury and calculated malice. "You're both fools," she hissed. "Do you think blood alone can undo centuries of power?" Alara's voice was calm but cutting. "Power built on lies dies in truth." Ilyana laughed, low and venomous. "Your mother died for your naive ideals, and yet here you stand, thinking you can finish what she started?"
Kael stepped forward, blocking Ilyana's path. "You killed her child. You started this war. Everything that follows is your doing."
"You speak as if your words can undo the past," Ilyana sneered. "The past is mine, it always was, and now it will claim you." With a gesture, shadows leapt from the walls like living serpents, writhing around the dais.
Soldiers hidden in the dark lunged forward, steel flashing. Hilara and Ko moved as one. Every slash, every block, every step was precise, almost instinctive. They were no longer two heirs of warring houses, they were a force forged by grief, betrayal, and shared purpose.
Alara ducked under a swing of a spear and rolled forward, the dagger striking true against the chains binding one of Ilyana's soldiers. She turned, spinning, and the blade caught the torchlight, slicing a rope and freeing a trapped ally.
Ko fought with the ferocity of a wolf cornered, cutting a path through the Queen Mother's inner guards to reach Ilyana. His eyes met Alara's across the battlefield, a silent promise. "We end this together."
Ilyana's eyes narrowed as she stepped down from her dais, her hands raised, casting shadows that twisted and attacked with unnatural speed. "You will not leave here alive," she hissed. Ilara felt the dagger hum in her hand, almost alive. She remembered her mother's letters, the Oathkeeper's warnings, and Kale's unwavering presence beside her, and in that moment she understood. It wasn't just blood that bound them, it was choice.
Together, they advanced. The Queen Mother lashed with shadows, but Kale intercepted each strike, clearing the path for Alara.
She leapt, spinning midair, dagger aimed at Ilyana's chest, but the Queen Mother's magic flared, throwing her back against the stone wall. Pain exploded across Alara's side.
Kale's voice cut through the chaos. "Ilara!" She gritted her teeth, rolling to her feet. The dagger glinted as she leapt again, meeting Kale's eyes mid-strike. He slashed through the last shadowed guard, clearing the path, and then they were both before Ilyana. The Queen Mother faltered for the first time.
Rage and disbelief flashed across her face. How are you alive? How are you? Together?" Ilara stepped forward, bloodied but unbroken. "Because we are no longer pawns," she said. "Because the truth has survived your lies, and because your time is over." Kale's hand found hers, their fingers entwined briefly. "This ends now." Alara lunged, the dagger slicing through Ilyana's defenses.
Kale followed, blade meeting shadow in a violent clash.
Ilyana screamed, the shadows dissolving in a final flare of light. When the smoke cleared, she lay on the cold stone floor, breathing heavily, defeated. The throne room was quiet, but for the ragged breaths of those who survived. Alara stood, dagger in hand, blood and frost mixing across her cloak. She looked at Kale, his face bruised but alive. And for the first time, in the heart of betrayal, she allowed herself to feel something beyond rage: trust.
Kyle's hand brushed hers again, this time lingering. "Together?" he asked softly. She nodded, a faint, triumphant smile breaking across her face. Together, and above them, the first rays of sunlight pierced the shattered windows of the Iron Keep, glinting off the snow outside, illuminating a new dawn. The war had ended, the shadows had fallen, and in their place, a bond stronger than blood had emerged. The Iron Keep lay in ruins, yet for the first time in decades, silence reigned, not the silence of fear, but the quiet of victory. Snow drifted over shattered walls, sparkling in the morning sun like diamonds on black stone. The battlefield was empty, save for a few surviving soldiers, exhausted and weary, and the heirs who now stood together at the heart of the keep.
Alara's cloak was torn, her hands streaked with blood and ash. The dagger at her hip gleamed in the pale light, a symbol of the truth she had fought to uncover and the bond she had forged with Kael.
Kael surveyed the throne room, the weight of the moment settling over him. "It's ours," he said quietly. "No one can take it from us now."
Alara shook her head, smiling faintly. "It's not the throne that matters. It's what comes after. Justice, peace, a chance to undo the damage done by lies and betrayal."
They descended into the throne chamber together. The tattered banners of Draven hung limply, their black and silver threads catching in the breeze. In the center sat the throne, scarred by the battle, yet still magnificent, a reminder of the power they now inherited.
Alara stepped forward, placing her hand on the arm of the throne. "This belongs to both of us," she said. "Not as enemies, but as heirs."
Not as pawns, but as rulers who choose truth over fear. Kael joined her, bowing slightly, his fingers brushing hers. "We rebuild together. Every city, every village, every soul. We restore what was stolen by shadows." Behind them, the surviving soldiers of both kingdoms stepped forward, kneeling in unison. For the first time, the lion and the wolf stood side by side, their loyalties united under two heirs who had survived betrayal, blood, and war. But the victory was not without cost. The Oathkeeper stepped forward, his eyes solemn. "The Queen Mother may be defeated, but her network of spies and allies still exists. You must be vigilant. Power attracts shadows." Alara nodded, placing her dagger back in its sheath. "Then we shine a light where there has been darkness. Together." Kael placed a hand on her shoulder. Together. Their gaze met, the tension between them softening. The war had forged trust, respect, and something deeper, a bond neither could ignore.
For the first time, Alara allowed herself to feel hope, not just for the kingdoms, but for the possibility of love. She took Kael's hand, holding it firmly. "We've survived the night. Now we build the day."
Kael smiled, a rare, genuine expression that softened the hardness of his features. "And maybe we can finally let ourselves live, too." The sun climbed higher, bathing the ruined keep in warmth. The air smelled of snow and ash, of bloodshed and promises kept. Outside, the people began to emerge from the villages and camps, witnessing the dawn of a new era. Alara and Kael stood side by side on the steps of the throne, facing the kingdom they had reclaimed, not as enemies, not as pawns, but as rulers bound by shared loss, truth, and the courage to forge a future from the ashes of the past. And in that moment, the first whispers of love blossomed between them, quiet but undeniable, stronger than any oath, stronger than any crown. The war had ended, the shadows had fallen, and the heirs of Valinor and Draven had claimed not just a throne, but a legacy one that would shine for generations. The first true morning after the storm of war dawned with a quiet brilliance. Sunlight spilled over the valley, melting the last traces of frost from the Iron Keep's shattered towers. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of snow, smoke, and the faint tang of blood, reminders of the battle that had forged a new era.
Alara stood on the balcony of the keep, the wind tugging at her cloak. Below, the people of Draven and Valinor moved cautiously through the streets, emerging from fear and hiding, staring up at the throne they now recognized as legitimate. For the first time in decades, the lion and the wolf were united under a single leadership.
Kael came up behind her, his hand brushing hers.
She looked at him, and in his eyes she saw the echoes of every battle, every secret revealed, and every trust earned.
"It's real," she whispered. "All of this. We actually did it." Kael smiled softly, the weight of the past finally giving way to relief. "Yes, and it's only the beginning." Inside the throne room, the throne had been restored. The banners of Valinor and Draven hung side by side, their crests entwined in the way the dagger had once symbolized. The surviving soldiers and allies stood at attention, witnessing the moment their new rulers claimed not just power, but unity. Elara stepped forward, placing her hand on the throne. This throne belongs to the people, and together we will rule with truth and justice, not fear and lies. Kael joined her at the steps, bowing slightly before raising his hand to the gathered crowd. We will rebuild what was lost. We will heal old wounds, and we will honor those who gave everything for this peace. A cheer rose from the crowd, cautious at first, then swelling into a roar that echoed across the valley. For the first time in generations, the kingdoms of Valinor and Draven had hope.